Well, it's been about 7 years. I guess this is a little unexpected. Warning, this video is a long apology to the people who supported my channel from the beginning. It's a bit of a ramble, but if that's your thing, you've been warned. I never intended to just forget about the channel. I mean, basically the reason why I stopped, the quick answer, in any case, for those of you looking for a quick answer, is essentially life got in the way of itself. Speaking out against Scientology, I did that for a long time. I made a video series, and I hope that I ended up reaching some people out there, and made my voice heard, and tried to make a little bit of a difference. And I think I was part of something that made a little bit of a difference. For more for some than others, but primarily it was just to do what I think was best when it came to something like Scientology, where no one knew anything about it, and they were able to sort of prey on people. And when you know what the game is, it's a lot harder to get away with cheating. I don't really approve of their method of operating on a dishonest level of keeping secrets and then charging you for the privilege of learning them and then convincing you that it's somehow helping you become a better person, despite the fact that the only thing that comes out of a person who goes in there that is any good is stuff that was already in them to begin with, or stuff that just it's not, you can't teach goodness, you can't teach empathy, you can't teach empathy. You can simulate it, you can emulate it, but yeah. So anyways, the reason why I stopped, the long answer, it's kind of complicated, and whether or not anybody watches this, I'm not even sure. I still have some subscribers, but I think that there's an explanation owed, considering that I did basically just drop off the edge of the earth and disappear. So the reason why I stopped the channel wasn't because I wanted to stop the channel. What essentially happened is I went to school and fully expected to be able to, because I didn't take a full course load, still be able to have some time to at least have some kind of commentary videos that people could be interested in watching. Just sort of keep the channel going, keep people informed, because when it really comes down to it, it is a busy world out there. There are hundreds of articles being posted every day and events that happen around the world, and we're all very busy, and it is nice to have one place where you can go where somebody will kind of boil it down for you. It's kind of the same reason that most commentary channels kind of exist, other than just simply making fun of easy targets and being generally entertaining. But it is also nice to kind of be nice to be kept abreast of current events. But anyways, the story, if you're interested in listening, if you're not, then don't worry about it. Obviously, it's up to you whether this video continues playing or not. But essentially what ended up happening is I left my home to go to school, and it was away from the mom and dad nest. So, I finally became an adult. I stopped living in my mom's basement, as you have all suspected. Well, it wasn't my mom's basement. It was my dad's basement. He has a much nicer basement. There's a pool table and everything. So clear winner there. But I moved out of there and sort of rented a room out with someone that I knew to go to school, and I was buried under the homework that they gave me there. I had a lot of passion in my heart, and that ended up translating into my schoolwork as well. And for the most part, until it came to the very, very academic stuff near the very end, I did very well. No valedictorian, unfortunately. Whatever, it doesn't matter. That was not the reason why I went to school in the first place. It was to get an education, but to get engrossed in what I was studying. And I did get engrossed with it, and it was great, and I felt alive. But because I was away from home and didn't have my setup anymore, didn't have time to edit because of homework, I had side projects you had to do as part of the program, I just honestly didn't have time for it. And at the time, it seemed like Scientology was already a joke. People already saw it for the way that it really was, and mission basically accomplished. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that still need help. But at some point, because I'd been doing it for such a long time, and at that point I was actually sort of becoming like not just a young adult anymore. I did need to actually move on with my life to support myself, and through that be able to grow and support others. Ultimately, that's what I want to do. I don't, want to just exist as this 9 to 5 kind of guy. I wanted to, get an education in something that I enjoyed and was interested in, and could continue to burn that passion in me, and and then go and do more work than just videos. Once I had an idea of what I was going to do, that is the journey that everyone kind of has to take, um, and to grow as a person. And I hope that I have grown as a person. You know, Considering how long it's been, I would hope so. But um, what basically ended up happening is I finished school at probably the worst time that I could have finished school, and resulted in me not being able to find the work in my chosen career path. It's unfortunate. It happens. That is reality. Um, but I was so out of work for such a long time, just in general, that that I was bordering on homelessness, actually. Um, and pretty much at the same time that I was being kicked out of the place that I was staying because I couldn't afford to stay there anymore, someone very close to me ended up passing away, and it basically destroyed a little piece of myself, and I guess some of my innocence, as well as some of the connection that I had through that person. Um, and that did its own kind of damage too. It really blew a hole in my life, and it was very um, well, life changing, I guess. Like death will do that, and it kind of made me on one hand, it kind of made me want to really, be sure about what I was actually doing in life, because whether you believe in an afterlife, reincarnation, or total oblivion after death, the reality is that this life that you have is the only life you will ever have. It is literally the only thing you will ever experience as the person that you are at this given time. So while I was finishing up school, because I still hadn't quite finished everything when I was being kicked out, and this happened. I was actually in the process of finishing my final exams, and going through the contacts that I'd made at school to kind of try to find some kind of work. Um, I mean, I ended up taking a bunch of part-time jobs, which were the only jobs that I could find. They didn't pay very much. The pay was sporadic. I had to chase after, some of my employers for the money, and there's at least a couple of employers out there that do owe me a lot of money. But unfortunately, due to the circumstances which I had went into business with them, there's no proof of that. And honestly, it was the kind of experience where it's just better to kind of let it go rather than to chase after it. I'd rather just not have anything to do with that part of my life anymore. So I moved on from that. And eventually I found a more full-time job, which would take me regardless of my educational experience. And I, started as the low man on the totem pole, and I got paid a little bit more than minimum wage. It was a lot more than what I was being paid, but it wasn't enough to completely pay everything that I needed to do. That's the bus travel, the laundry bills to keep the uniforms and everything clean, the paying rent, and just generally eating and surviving. I ended up moving to a bunch of different places, and one individual was actually nice enough to allow me to kind of hide out in one of their properties that I was well. I mean, it was their house, but under certain strata rules, I was not allowed to be there. So basically, I had to kind of move there in the middle of the night, and the agreement was as long as I kept the place, in mint condition for resale or whatever she wanted to do, then there wasn't going to be an issue. But unfortunately, about a month and a half in, I ended up getting kicked out of that place. So I was, basically, somebody pulled a fire alarm or something, and then the entire building had to be evacuated, and they basically found me, and I had to move out. They did at least give me enough time to leave properly, to take my packed boxes and to put them in a truck and go somewhere else. But in the meantime, I'd been working 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, just trying to survive, because the only time I made money to get ahead of all this debt. I mean, at the time, I still had to pay student loans, and since I wasn't making any money, I had to also borrow money to pay for food and to pay for any other living expenses and just sort of make minimum payments on it so that I was technically making payments even though I was going further and further into debt. It's just a complicated balancing act. I'm sure at least a few of you out there have probably gone through something similar. But the only way to really make money was to do overtime. Overtime hours were the only time you could do it. It was like it's time and a half. So you're now being paid a sort of semi decent wage, and it killed me. I mean, I was basically I was just doing nothing but working. I would wake up in at some random point because the hours were all over the place. It's part of the job. Haul my ass over to wherever the job was to do the job for about 8 hours, try to squeeze out some overtime if I could, and then try as best I could to go immediately to another job immediately after that, and then go home and probably only get about 4 to 5 hours worth of sleep before the next shift had to start, due to the amount of travel time that I had to take. I didn't have a vehicle at the time. I mean, I have a vehicle now. It was a long and hard fight further down the story, but in any case, yeah, taking the bus everywhere is great if you have to go to the same place every day and you can kind of schedule it and have a dependable route. But, you know, being told that you've got to go to this job and it's the last bus of the night, every single bus you take is the last bus of the night, and then finally getting to the job site and being told that they canceled that job but hadn't bothered to tell you, and now you're stranded there, not being paid to work because there's no work for you, and you have to just basically stay the night out because you're so far away from home you can't, you know, leave. It's just safer just to stay somewhere sheltered, basically being homeless for the night. Oh, that was not at all fun. But anyways, after that, I was finally able to just find my way into a better paying job, which was much, 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 much harder. But due to my work ethic and my ability to focus and show up on time, because apparently that's amazing to some employers, because apparently the bar is just that low. But being honest, showing up on time, working my ass off every single day, I was able to actually get a decent wage and a decent position, which I've advanced from today. So I'm actually doing much, much better for myself. And I've only recently, within, I'd say, the last couple of months or so, well, technically, I would say within the last year, but only now, about a year after that, that I've actually come out of the depression and the, I don't know, mental personality damage that kind of situation can do to you, enough to be able to come out and be in front of a camera again. It's a not the worst kind of experience out there, but for me, it was pretty much everything went to the back burner, and survival was the utmost importance. There was no way around it. Literally, being homeless is part of my job, you know, and losing a part of my mind. And I've only recently gotten that back. Now, you know, since I'm not really doing anything against Scientology anymore, because as far as I'm concerned, they're basically just a harmless, well, they're not harmless, but they're a lot less harmful than they were. They're not I wouldn't say that they're a direct threat, at least not in the way that my younger self would have seen them. I've kind of moved on from that. I might still do some talks and stuff about some bigger issues that might bother me, but, and I don't know if you've noticed, but social justice warriors and those who fight for various causes are kind of a joke themselves now. So it's actually kind of difficult to really take sides. I mean, you know, even if you're on the right side, unless you're on the side that society wants you to be on, it's pretty easy for them to just deplatform you or shut you down or shut you up and just shut down the conversation. And it's very frustrating as a person who wants to be able to say things, and as long as I don't say them offensively, be able to kind of speak my mind about what I think. I mean, when I did do the channel, getting comments and stuff like that, fun fact, apparently the comments on the channels didn't really stop until like a couple of years ago, which is kind of amazing. So I guess some people are still watching my stuff. Actually, according to the statistics on YouTube, people are still watching my stuff, which is just blows my mind. But But anyways, it's just, I don't know. It's really dangerous to, well, I wouldn't say dangerous. I would say that if you build up a YouTube channel or any kind of channel in order to come out and say something, and then YouTube or somebody just arbitrarily decides that what you're saying isn't nice and they just shut you down, makes it a little bit difficult to kind of get your word out there. Um, you know, but that being said, I one thing I did enjoy about the previous channel, this channel, previously, was that I would get opinions of people who I didn't agree with, and they would, talk to me. Sometimes they would be nice, and sometimes they'd use actual real words with proper punctuation and grammar and spelling, so I could actually read it instead of just scroll past it to the angry capitalized wall of whatever. Um, and I would learn something, and I would grow as a person that way. Because sometimes you have to hear things that you don't like, um, because it might actually be something that you might want to hear, not because it's nice, but because it helps you understand. And if you want to be honest about what you understand and who you are, part of the process of that is having people you don't like talking to you about things that are from the other side, right? In regards to how that works with Scientology, well, generally they didn't really ever talk to me about anything except the stuff that they always talk to me about, which doesn't make for stimulating conversation or a learning experience. It's just, here are our talking points, which you've already heard 100 times because they are told what their talking points are, and after a while, I wouldn't even respond to them anymore because it's like, what's the point? It's really quite difficult to get through to someone who isn't really looking for conversation. They're just looking for you to bite down so they can get to the next part of the script and to try to convert you or whatever it is. But, you know, it's really, really difficult to have an honest conversation online anymore at all. Uh, it's kind of normalized now, this whole put a channel out there and talk about controversial issues. YouTube does not like controversy. They don't like any kind of controversy, and most online platforms just don't want to have anything to do with it, and I kind of understand that, because they're getting it worse than the actual speakers are, because they actually have a business. It's not just simply, oh, here's my channel, and then suddenly it gets demonetized or some of your videos get flagged and removed. It's not the end of the world. It's not, the foundation of your life or anything. Well, it shouldn't be. Eggs in multiple baskets kind of deal. But the point is that YouTube itself as a business doesn't do very well, and other video streaming services kind of rely on advertisement revenue and all that stuff. And I kind of get that. They can't go against the status quo. It's not their job. Job is a business, so kind of get that. But you know, I still do want to do videos. In fact, I do regular videos. I do just gaming videos and things like that on a completely different channel. It's actually much smaller than this one. And I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to go and check it out. It's pretty much what I've been up to for the last couple months in any case, just kind of screwing around with my friends playing video games and playing in the editor and whatever. But I wouldn't put any of the content that I wanted to talk about on that channel. I would probably just put it on this channel. But ultimately, this channel is, I don't know, it's sort of a reminder of things before things were really bad. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not even the same kind of person anymore. I have certain values of the same. I still want to be honest. I still want to learn. I still want to grow as an individual and as a person. But I'm leading a completely different life now, and I have totally different battles, and for the most part, things are okay. They're not great. They're not nearly as good as they could be, but I'm not gonna be on the streets anytime soon now, thankfully. It took a lot of work, and I had to fight so hard to fix those situations. But I did, ultimately. Uh, what was the word I will be using? Grit. I did have the grit to get through it. I'm not sure if many people could, considering how stressful that kind of stuff is. But in any case, I think I've probably rambled enough. I'm just going to just kind of slip this online. If anyone's listening, great. Thank you for still apparently paying attention to this channel that's like 7 years old. Since I posted, it's probably like older than that, I think. But in any case, leave a comment about what you think about this whole situation, or whatever you want to see, whether you're interested in more stuff to talk about, because ultimately I think that there's enough talking head stuff out there. But if you want to see something that I could do, I could put something together. It just wouldn't be as frequent as my other channel, because, well, gaming is just that much easier. I don't actually have to think. I just have to play and be happy and have a good time, which is a very special treat. And it's actually, I'm probably at my happiest when I'm actually doing those videos. Um, you know, just pursuing my own personal stuff and just sort of exploring my own experience as a human. But leave a comment if you want. I'll end up seeing it. I get the messages immediately. Um, if you still want to subscribe to me regularly, you can do that too. Uh, Pretty much most of my stuff though is going to be more building a more positive community within like the gaming sphere and stuff like that, just because it's going to be a much better ride for me. But I think that you guys wrote an explanation, or whoever among you is still actually out there and listening. And yeah, I'm not dead. Came close a couple times, but I did survive. Things are fine, and we'll see if anything new comes up. So thanks for listening to this long ramble, and I hope that you have a great day and take care.